Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates. Inside Story Uganda.
Obanga nebaza mwenna abali social media platforms ezenjawulo abali ku YouTube abali ku Facebook abatugobera buteteevu wano kuno mu Tamale Mirundi mbebaza bamusako Tamale manga mutugoberera era nga samungu aberenga basulamu abatukumire naye nga mukutamire tugera kugera ku ledda leka muleka ndagala amanye ensonga zine kubanga polisi yavuddeyo neno ngadadewo okulabula konna era nga yega ntwalwa abateekateeka okuba nti beerayiza era nga yogera ku mukulu Bobi Wine yateekateeka okuba nti yeeyaliza uliza bafunye intelligence kagenda kuba kikolera mu hoteli emwe Uganda n'ekinnaku ekinneewuunyisa intelligence bogerako bogera ku social media bogera ku Facebook bogera intelligence kati polisi ekolera ku Facebook.
The moment I told Bobi Wine I talk to Bobi Wine when I want
ekyo nakiwakana nze
kakati timiteri and Bobi Wine has done a lot
nakiwakana
to treat my son.
That one I know.
Amulabiridde nnyo
pozi nga mwogera ku ekyo awazikiriza
Bobi Wine I'm telling you I told Bobi Wine avoid the three things. The moment you become you take up Besigye's strategy, you fail. Besigye underestimated Museveni. Nalowooza nti was striking the public was ready for. First of all, a Westerner cannot succeed a Westerner. Two, Besigye obadde mu government wali national political commission. Besigye bakwata bakiri muto ba leaders ba DP n'abagana okubawa diet, special diet. Is known. Ugandans are involved in the informal sector, which means work to work Uganda. How can you say there are no jobs, but people work to work? You would say work to nothing. Nechigwa. Besigye ne yeerayiza.
Yafuna mukaga yeerayiza.
Ekyo
nakola people's government.
Besigye kye yagezaako okukola mu politics mu ekiri. At one time they recognized the Somali government and the parliament was in Kenya, internationally recognized. At one time, Palestinian government recognized Yali Tunisia.
Okay.
Yes, Baba J again, Jordan, Bagara government. So they recognized Gundi and Wange Darao, Sahara, Spain, Tekis anti Gundi, Spanish Sahara. African Union recognized it. Kakati, who is recognizing a people's government? People's government go in it. I don't think that Bobi Wine with these handlers as well degenerating into what Besigye
is planning to swear himself. Police were gone.
The angel of lies is Enanga. Let me tell you what is a ceremony. Katonda abayambe. If I was a minister of information and I had that stupidity, I would tell you, I would replay how a ceremony, a presidential swearing ceremony entails. Where would we basically, when a president is being sworn in, the Chief Justice
has to be there.
As if anybody is sworn in without a Chief Justice, what happens?
Tatabela legit.
Yes. The army pays loyalty.
Yeah.
They give you their colors and what? What does this? Can you have a parallel one?
Which means we never walk or about video.
Yes, it's like a widow retaining or a divorced wife retaining my name.
But what you know way be? Intention you never.
Banonya sente.
I'm
telling you, about police banonya sente.
Bombi bayogedde kutwabira byeko emotoka y'omukungu sakwa manyi bulungi ya famara disi wewe jinja
era je bakuba
emotoka yo bagikuba ate gena Georgian House bakubone emotoka bbiri nawo
sakwa gwe bakuba ne bamushumiriyetinga lwaki yange tekubwa lwaki yange tebagikuba
ate gwe bakwagaza oli mu government
imbatta
mutoli mu government yange
sakwa ne bamala okujoga ne bakunyala ku mutwe ne bakunyako ne bakuba omulimu mu yiso ne mugenda those one ne bamukuba bamukuba dia angad n'okubisa abantu tiyagase
ogumusalidde
enkya nokwatenga labiyona akasajja kalinga skeleton n'ogenda mu yiso nze oyinza okumpa omulimu ne ngendayo I have been operating without a government job for 8 years. Tosobola kunia ku mutwe noto muno nyala ko gwakubiri
Birema na polisi ya
attention nakano kunia ku mutwe
birema na polisi ya bipanga
bipanga
omukulu yavudde nalaga
when why do they target Sakwa? What statement has Sakwa made? Inanga, the angel of lies. Inanga. Me, I don't. Whenever I say Enanga, I just switch.
Enanga said.
Tugende ma.
Enanga said. Leka. For police yagambi. Tugende mbula police yagambi. Police yagambi. Opposition bagenda kweza social media. Causing mayhem.
How do you
prevent
social media? You closed the social media. You lost 200 billion a day. Muchiddemu ogwokubiri. President yagamba they have blocked our people. Full figure in abantu bemeka. How many? Why did YouTube insist that mine remains? Ngananyene buyinza abawandikide bawaddeyo ne said. Don't tell me you are rubbish. I came here for serious
issues. Rubbish.
Nakati nkugamba nawandika akatabo kange. This is my best book.
Museveni the Revolutionary. It catches all aspects of the history of this government. President Yangamba, you reprint our books. Mbuyina mu Luluwo, mbandika mu Luwo, mu Lungereza, mu Lunyankole muki. Sebeera ba Buganda. Nannyini buyinza mbumukolere. Oli kaceeka akano nje benyondo mbatte mu baanamu. Nje bamutwani kwa kajiji mwaso omuto. Tebuli nkozesaako mu. How? Benalaba wana nga muli baavu muli bayitirivu. Mzitamani sechuka.
Teri muntu yanda
omwavu agagga wala.
Teri muntu yanda bakonga ande mwavu.
Oli musajja Muganda.
Iyo pesa ya damu.
Oli musajja Muganda.
Money.
Ikoza kubire ngoma na uzina.
Organize. Namwe muli bantu mmwe timwezi sobola okunjogamu. Nze nkugamba my main point for today. Why has Museveni clocked 30 years in power? Which means I wrote this book. Bagamba president
Monday 25th November 2013.
Nabaga omusajja omumuwe ekyuma atukubira
okufiira gift to my birthday.
Nene enkofiira emitwalo 2 nene kati mbyambala bwambazi nga babigabi.
Wazaliwa 25 November.
Wananyene buyinza mbwajja toli nkozesa. Never in life. Every head has a price. Mine hakuna price. Kichwa yangu hakuna price. Zeta sente nkubomo tayimbwa. But even Uncle Sam failed. How can Uncle Sam fail? I talked to him. Yabakowa mwe. Bulezi mwe. Get it from me. Yabakowa.
Mzaitamali, you named your price.
Joko lyako bwonna.
Wasaba 10 billion.
Nze njagala 10 billion.
Zandi zisize wabasaba.
Nobulege twene kuchoka buli muntu ina. Bajja kubetera akasajja katufumye tuli kondom. Enkozeseeko.
Asajja kwa vest. Statement yeyo giveko.
Kajja kudduka wano kadduka ekigali naye wano kajja kudduka. Kajja kudduka. Nkubulira. Nkugamba, why Museveni has clocked 30 years in power? Let me use two simple examples to illustrate my point. One, look at a student. Any student follows a particular course. You start in a nursery school, enter primary school to secondary level, and then university. At all levels, the same student goes through a different stage in education, reflected in different subjects and examinations. At every level, you compete with others, and there are those who are dropped along the way. In 1986, Yoweri Museveni took power after a 5-year protracted war. He then had no mandate from Ugandans. This is why his government was a transitional government from 1986 to 95. Transitional. It was a transitional government. Abaddipi bakkiriza ne bajja gentleman's agreement. It was not a government of national unity, neither was it a coalition. It was a broad-based government. A broad-based government, you come as an individual.
Okay.
Nkugamba, the government had to put the necessary institutions in place and formulate a new constitution for Uganda. After this, like a student, I explained the student. The Museveni atandikidde mu nursery school. Ayingidde primary. Ayingidde secondary school. Ageze ku A-level. Emyaka 3 Yes. Tewali ejjajjifuna wano.
Ate gina 5. Ejja university.
Tewali ejjajjifuna. If you don't understand this situation, that by the time he came, he had organized a protracted war. 5 years in the bush. The higher the risk, the dividend, nanyini buyinza yalowooza mbu wanzija wanantwala nga ani agende mutano wa Mirundi n'omuzimu tekunzita analoga nti man like me. After this assignment of making the new constitution, he competed with others in 1996 for the presidency. Olwo tuvudde mu buwambi mu transition tugambye kakati tuze mu movement system. Every person can come and compete. Ayina emekakati omwenda agufuze zero anti yajja muwambe nimumukkiriza era abaddipi be baali basingamu obungi ensi yonna nekkiriza nti twetaaga okugiga ebiwundu emyaka 9 zero emyaka 9 zero kakati emyaka 9 bwe gibala okugwako ne mukola constitution ne mulaga mu movement system.
Okay.
Katuli mu movement system. He won the mandate of the people and embarked on another stage. Thereafter, Uganda entered a new political dispensation. Tuvudde mu movement. Tuyingidde multi-party. Ani aliwo? Secondary school wagiyingidde with different subjects, different teachers.
Aja yeyubula.
Nino okuzane political scientist we makerere ekyo takimanyi baleeka ngalabi kuwekwala. How can a professor go on a strike? Can I go on a strike? Me? Can I go on a strike?
Overpayment.
Nze abantu nabeeranga mu state house nafunanga emitwalo 6. I can give Mirundi a job. Go to God and give it to your mother. Me am not lacking a job. Yes, mvumira ddala musajja obwo bwetaaga okuweza.
Disrespect mothers.
He won the mandate of the people and embarked on another stage. Thereafter, naye omusajja kyebunkoze gwokimanyi buli bizinesi zange nebugamba nti gonde simanyi tutta pologalamu ene batutane batojjakemba kasajja gwe kavudde entebe nga kayurinetize mu mpale. Thereafter, Uganda entered a new political dispensation, multipartyism. Multipartyism requires that each party sponsors its candidate, and this is what is happening in Uganda. Museveni is now a property of the party. It's the party that decides whether he should stand as their candidate. There is no game where a person chooses his or her opponent. Since all political parties choose their candidates freely, Museveni remains a matter of NRM. Anybody who wants to stop Museveni should be a member of the decision-making board of NRM, or must sponsor a more popular and stronger presidential candidate. This is the bitter fact. I recently heard a comedian on one of our local FM stations shedding tears that I have seen one president ever since he was born. I answered him. He did not tell us how many schools and education institutions has gone through in the last 30 years. He did not tell the listeners how many cars he has changed under this same period. He did not tell us the number of businesses has set up under the same period. What this means is that since he does not have a veto on Uganda's politics, has to suffer from this frustration. If you are tired of the same supermarket in your area, you either go to another area or you start yours in the same area. Those who do not want President Museveni must mobilize other Ugandans, especially those who support him, to change their position and vote them. As long as his supporters form the largest percentage of voters, Museveni will still be around.
Ensonga ziri busy mukataba kenyini. Oyogedde ku nsonga kuba ntinno party zisalawo NRM ereta freely. Does it do it freely?
Namwe muleta.
No, NRM esalawo freely. Mukasira mubera ku soccer candidate.
Why do you pay for air tickets to get soccer stars abroad to play in the
national? Watch in free. Doesn't have to do
delegate conference. No.
Solo candidate? Is that being free?
Yeah, you see. Let me tell you, every party organization has its structures. Look what the Catholic Church. The moment the Pope says full stop, Baba Gamba Simogere Yagedo Kumesaza, whatever come Catholic if solo candidature is part of their constitution, why do you complain?
It's not part.
It is not part. Kakati gomba. Nenda omulungi gwe baganya okwesimba omwenale aveyo mumuwe.
ayagala kuita mustructure bamembazi bagamba
lwaki mumwagala muyisa mwena the point I wanted to develop tiye Mbabazi is on his way back naye Kazinda is a victim of infighting between Mbabazi nga era lwakisa first lady Kazinda ne bamuteka wa Bigirimana Kazinda mama we yazibya amasa agenda kufa Kazinda is languishing in prison my humble submission is this as Mbabazi comes back akolenga Kayihura yagamba saagala mulimu naye mutekitata Mbabazi bwaba mulokole nga ne mukazi we taata we Kanoni ayambe Kazinda
mzee Tamara mvuzeemu speed kati ensonga eyokubiri jinja twogereko okambye ku nsonga nitulete baleeta ababulomale abatabakiriza President Museveni baleete owaabwe bamuwagire amuggyeko bwe bamutwambamuleeta
nagwa
nemulemesa
yagwa
tebamulemesa okuba nti abantu bamuwagira mu okumuwagira
incumbency and rigging
mzee Tamara ovuga speed
kankusomere wano
neno ogana okunziramu kyekugamba kyanuka kyenkubuuziza
bakuba abakazi bonna babareepinga
kyanuka kyenkubuuziza kyoba tuwulire
mwamuleeta n'agwa
teyagwamulemesa
ate teyali wammwe Bobi Wine has never been yours
yali
Bobi Wine did not emerge from one of the political parties yavaawa faza waawa atava mu seminaariyo gumumbuulireko Bobi Wine yava mu seminaariyo ki
yatondaweeriwa
nakibano be bamuleetera bamuleeta twakiyitanga edda tweronde omanye omupiira gwe twalonzanyanga kati tweronde tetulina Bobi Wine faza Bishop Bobi Wine yava mu seminaari ki yava mu DP yava mu FDC yava mu NRM Bobi Wine yava mu seminaari ki Bobi Wine ngaawunya olumafiya Bobi Wine ngaawunya olumafiya
yava mu maanyi g'abantu
tekiriiyo. How many demonstrations did Bobi Wine lead? Zimbulire. Yakwata kensawo ya Besigye. Yes. Nganda is a product of FDC. Bannakabirwa strategy bagamba mboba Museveni aganye okujjawo kadaka katuwe nganda mumuwe kasita mudire kanisa y'ekereziya nemugiwa omusamizi mumuswala. The opposition also claims that an incumbent president masterminds rigging because all institutions are under his total control. This was partly answered by my submission that incumbents lose power to strong and well-organized opponents. In the countries I have enumerated above, where strong incumbents were trounced, the institutions were under their government. Ngokima Kawunda bamukuba bati Kawunda ekibiina kya UNIP was entrenched senale gye balaba ssente ne bagoba Lumumba nannyini buyinza n'atwala Ddombo olwo ne bakuba gundi ne bakuba Ofono yayina kuteeka babe balya ssente endali mu zonta n'entreched party eriwo abagenda mu by election ssente ne bazebbira but UNIP one country one leader that leader Kenneth Kawunda akasajja kakiruba kamukuba Keke boys Kawunda whenever Kawunda wanted to address a press conference yatekanga abamawulire mu nnyonyi addressing a mid-air press conference this morning Dr. Kawunda has said kamukuba ekimu n'omudaala gw'omwowino nemu abayina kisaka atawanya akatale k'owino n'ateekayo essajja ly'ettemu baba omwowino emigo Kayonga tebamwagala ye Museveni yafuna 90% gwe bakuwagala mukazi gwe. This is not an interested party.
95%.
NRM is not an interested party. You are just disorganized. Ndi musajja omu bya fellowship. Fellowship mu Uganda was who is who in Uganda except Museveni yatajirimu. Yonna njikubye ne badduka. One man. Because I'm organized.
Okay.
Waliwo omusajja yavudde Kamwenge nange nti navuganya netumwebaza essomero lyange n'aliggala naye ngeza mu Ministry of Education ne mbasaba obuyambi bangambe mbulwale ebbaluwa ne mugamba oli musiru essomero genda olitunde mwe temuvumirira 8 years tebalinda bako their people have never seen in my life ejogo military nendi bajja mu mpale everybody has a price chicho yangu hakuna price
tugende mu maaso
chicho yangu hakuna price. I have enumerated above where strong incumbents were trounced. Kamuzibanda, Engwanzi, Malawi Kamusibanda Emwanzi the Lion bamukuba ndanda ye yakuba buyoya nga bamuwadde emyezi 6 gyokka Burundi tewali muhutu yakulira ye yasomerayo yava bweru within bamu emyezi eki yakuba buyoya ekyo. You are not organized. You are not organized.
The opposition.
Yes, it's not the role of Museveni to put order in you. Nebulayo nze ayogera corruption nenjogera sente zebabbye at a high risk nenjogera Diana sente zabbidde mu covid ne mugulamu we nenjogera kino nyizo kuba Bobi Wine ekikono yewu.
But it has been the work of Museveni.
Abantu bayina okulabako twakalikodi.
It has been the work of Museveni.
Ababadde ne Museveni bambabazi kati be bamuvuganya. Ababadde ne Museveni babidande. Oyinaka bwekoledde ronda Museveni. Gwokyuka otya. Omuntu yakyuka mu ddiini bali babiri. Wumalu mu Busiraamu nabbi yasaba nti amaanyi wumalu gakozesa okusanyawo Obusiraamu Allah gamuwe atunde Obusiraamu. Nekyapeni
ekituukirira.
Sawulo Katonda n'amugamba Damascus nti Sawulo njegagizaki. Sawulo n'afuuka Paul. A quote of the Bible was written by Paul, Saint Paul. Nemwe muyina abantu. How many times has Bobi Wine commented on the rampant corruption in this country?
Akyuka.
Anti akyukawa.
Abavudde mu DP bagenda mu NDP
tebayina anti bantu bayise eri yabadde Gundi yabadde ki Gundi
dala ko bali
revolution dala ko bali nyidde era Bateesa ne Gavumenti I want to tell you however much you hide it no leaders are negotiating with the government.
If we are negotiating singa bana babatadde
nkugamba incumbency only helps those leaders who have performed. In fact, in politics, losing an election and to be defeated are interpreted differently. To lose an election means that the government made avoidable mistakes that led to the loss. Being defeated means that the government had no alternative. The voters were fed up with it. Therefore, rigging or no rigging, the most important fact is popularity and support. Do you believe Museveni has no support in Kampala? In 2011, all of the councillors in Kampala were NRM. Lukwago came to Kampala as an independent. Nibagalo mujja munte yasoma. Lukwago got $600 million shillings from an NRM man ngasubire ngudo mu Kampala. Lukwago did not have gone polling station to ina observers on 1,000 polling stations. It prompted the numbers of military volunteers. Ani yayogera ngasema timba akuba Lukwago bava mu NRM ne bakubira kujja Sseggone essimu ti obululu bwetu staff yeze buli ku Kampala High School was Sseggone ne fado nabaga musumululeka kyali kinali mu munda. People wouldn't want Sematimba. Why? Kampala bamubiramu nnyo kibola baleeta kesakana atikumye ensi itakana atikumye ensi nga bali bekwesi n'aleeta essajja ettemu n'aliteeka mu wino ne bakozesa omukazi ono akabokedde ne kakuba omukazi omunyankole. Why don't you say that a trader? Oyo omukazi okimanyi nti bamukwatako oyo omukazi pulezidenti yabawa miliyoni 10,000 byewino ne babiteeka Gundi nakyobe nabiteeka ku account mu Centenary Bank. Omukazi oyo yagamba mbu abasajja bavudde mu State House ne banteeka ku gun point ne batwalako 2. That woman you see there making noise ayawulira mu bantu n'abawuliramu. Andi kugamba has Bobi Wine commented on the Wino people?
No. Bobi Wine
Tamale. You cannot grab power. The people of Kampala. Museveni is not defeated in Kampala. Museveni loses.
It is defeated.
Uyo mwana tumwebaze yaleka yononye Kampala yenna.
Museveni is defeated in Kampala.
Tumwebaze yagula akatale kana akebiti milioni 10 bilioni
akebiti akaliwo.
Akawusafi. Bwebali mukuba mwebali muziika. Nenkugamba. Does the NRM rig elections?
Yes.
I tell you. To understand the difference between rigging, political maneuvering, and tricks, we have to examine the two. Rigging can only be done in an election process. For instance, in the case of parliamentary elections, the constituencies can be gerrymandered nga Nankabirwa kyeyakola nti yakola ekintu ekimu oba tekyakola mu 8 gerrymandering, you call it gerrymandering.
But that is also rigging. That is also rigging.
That
is also rigging. That is also rigging.
Parliamentary election bakuba. One babasinza amagezi nago tebansobolanze. Who creates constituencies?
It is them.
Constituencies are created after census. Every 50,000 people must have a constituency. Kati bo basala amagezi. Elections, population census ibera ya miaka 10. Bagikola in such a way, ne bagikola in such a way. Nti bafune time ka parliament oba cabinet. Where do you find the cabinet, the ministers to create constituencies for themselves? If I'm a real opposition leader here, compared to Raila Odinga, what happens government ya Kenya? Do we have a person like Raila Odinga?
But who does that much?
It is the reserve. I think Kuburi, Temuina leaders. Let me join the opposition. This is the process where constituencies are made in favor of government supporters. In 1980, Apache, for example, had the same constituencies like Mpigi, which at that time included Wakiso, Butambala, and Mpigi Serem. Today, the area is represented by 10 MPs. Omanyiti Muchinana, Gundi, second year Java. Senda ulawo naye achikirirawo kati waliwo bemu 10 niye nkugamba in Masaka Bukoto that was represented by no MP in the 1980 parliament. Senda ula the area is now represented by 5 MPs. The difference is that either for creating constituencies are clearly unknown. Every 50,000 people must have a constituency. This omanyinti abena ali mbaina constituencies zirimu abantu omutwalo
bangi bije bali.
Where is the MP? Where is the politician here?
Who is doing that?
Where is an opposition leader here? Baba kwatire mu mulabe bebavulula bebakenene endusu. If I go to the opposition, these people will tremble. I will change the political landscape.
Why don't you go?
A politician is somebody who deals politics. It comes from a Greek word, a politician. Who depends on politics. Why haven't I been bought for the last 8 years? The government applies the same criteria in creating districts, municipalities, and the lower councils. Katibuli city yonajo wulira n'oliyanti eyo bagifudde city. Mafia yino y'ebizimbe byayo. Chovola bamwene bamutwa bajja kumole bamwene bajja kumujje Masaka nga talina mpale. Mutwale yo n'abakoba bamulete nga tayi mane kitu kye bakifungudde. Abantu bawekeniza ako. Nkugamba nti Electoral Commission mumujerondera mu parliament. Approved. Mumujerondera. Kakati Museveni ababira nembaga nti Museveni wabakwatira. Nebe ganti yava ku mulamwa mbagamba. The Museveni yabakwatira ku kintu kimu. You have failed to understand Museveni. We have 3 words that appear to be the same. A revolutionary, a politician, and a statesman. They are 2 different things.
Okay.
A politician is opportunistic. Yanonya winning a next election. A revolutionary changes society like Museveni. Okay. A statesman prays for harmony. Bwekibanga Abaganda bwebateekawo ebintu byabwe ne baleeta Katikkiro omufere n'abazanyira ku mutwe n'abazanyirako kati boogera b'amakubu yabanira bwe bunnaabwe kyekikampuni ekibadde kibba amabanka. Have they talked about
nga tumaliriza wano eno okwakadde katuweddeko era nga gyatusibule ne kino
nkugamba restoration of democratic governance. A revolutionary invests in infrastructure. Kyobula bakagina yakyawa Abaganda n'abagenze abavudde mu yinula nabo n'owandika y'amabaluwa babagobe nkyanoonyereza Kagino bakitaawe yali makuwano oba yakwanako omuvubuka Omuganda nawe Kagina yakyawa Abaganda. Kagina yakyawa Abaganda n'abasajja abadduse mu yinula n'owandika amabaluwa gye balaze babagobe mbu balokole. I went to State House. I didn't single mulokole in the State House. Nalabayo omwala omumulokole mulokole nalabayo.
A
revolutionary invests in the infrastructure and human resource. Many roads have been constructed in spite of government limited resources. The government put up 20 investment parks. ne bazibba nabaga nti wenammange walina n'okubeera oluguudo oluyita waggulu nga wadde banka bawadde sente nasaasira yamenji zaala bali baleeta n'amaduuka oli nga bamuleeta mu kkooti lukikayire yaleeta baasi ezatabula ne kuteesa lukikayire kuteesa ekyamukulu bikumpita weekuŋŋamba ti baasi zange nalikubyera lukikayire empale nenjiwanika wabo nina kamunye 10 nakange mukabbe akomunako kekazikiza omulimu nakati ninamu naleese ezo empya 10 njagala babekeji muziyitani drone njagala babekeji amuyikingi to see a thief muberi kwomwenda mube mbatte mukwatekemu oba najja kugamba nti land has been given to investors naye baleese omufere kati waliko omufere ali mugundi people are celebrating kati baleese omufere mu investment gundi. Land has been given to investors to bring their money to Uganda. Government has stressed the importance of value addition. Also, government has invested heavily in the generation of cheap and reliable energy. Kitutu yadidde be bagenda okugoba. Kitutu n'atwala instrument. Bodi yaleyeveewo emisango gife. Kitutu naye ali awo ayikinga mbu simanya abagisu bali bubi mu 7. Bahati mbw abakiga no anti gavumenti eri wano mpoziga munakijjawo buli mubbi nomuseveni wanaleeta mu gavumenti tugenda kuinsiting abantu adduke kasayijja okufuluma Kampala alidukira mu kofini
tukate eddoboozi tubenga tumegattako okuba nti nno Buganda ebanja obukadde bilioni ziringa mu 2
bakamuwa mmeka. Let me tell us the balance sheet. Museveni okumanya mayiga lwakitowumulako kubanga kati how did these buildings get into the hands of the central government? By the time Bateesa made an whole alliance with Obote, Museveni was a student. Tatu jejembera omwana